That was beautiful. That was Julie, everybody. Let's give Julie some love. Julie Ann Cole. And get this, it's Julie Albright. Albright, get it? Sunny, sunshine, Cole, and Albright. Welcome to the Revealing Experience. How are we this evening? Woo-woo, I like woo-woo. All right, y'all, so you know how we do it. We welcome ourselves into this lovely vibration. We welcome those who are still on their way. Oh, it's so good to see you. And we sing about it. That's how we do it. So here we go. And mellow. Come on in, we welcome you. Come on in. We welcome you. Let go, be free. Come on in and take a seat. We're glad, hey, you're here. We're spreading love, joy, and cheer. So come on in, come on in, come on in. We welcome you. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. We welcome you. Let go, be free. Come on in and take a seat. We're glad you're here. We're spreading love, joy, and cheer. So come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. We welcome you. Come on in. 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 We welcome you. Come on in. 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 We welcome you. Come on in. 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 We welcome you. Come on in. That was beautiful. Thank you, Julie. You got to think, this is Julie's first time playing all the songs tonight. So after every one of them, woohoo! Right? So we just open our hearts and stay in that open space, revealing the truth of who we are. Yeah. Reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, love is what I see. Reveal the love That was beautiful, Julie. And staying in the same beautiful vibration. We can keep our eyes open or we can close them. But we just take this moment, and how good it is to take this moment and recognize the divine presence. Infinite intelligence, love, wholeness, divine perfection. One mind, one spirit, God. And what I know right here and right now is that I recognize this presence as my very life. I recognize that all that God is, I am. That peace, that infinite intelligence, that divine wholeness, that perfection is right where I am. It is who I am. It is all that I am. And as I know this absolute truth for myself and about myself, I know that that is the truth of each of us. That we are the light, the love, the joy, the peace, the abundance, the wholeness, the perfection that God is. There is no place in us where God is not. We can never be separated from this presence, from this power. We are absolutely one. And it is from this place of oneness and wholeness that I speak the word for us this evening, knowing that this revealing experience unfolds absolutely perfectly.
Yes.
It is the divine idea out of the mind of God, and so it can only be perfect. And what I am knowing is that as Reverend Sunshine has opened her heart and her mind to that divine download, that infinite intelligence that Spirit is, that sweet wisdom, that she imparts that wisdom upon us this evening, that she shares it freely, that she shares it with poise and with elegance, with joy and with glee, and with sincerity and truth like only she can. And I know that as she speaks those words, that they not only fill her up so much that she shares it with us, that it fills us up, that we go out and share it in the world, that we share that love, that we share that peace, that we share that wisdom and that insight. And so how grateful I am for all the hands and hearts that have come together tonight to make this service absolutely perfect. And so it is with a grateful heart, a grateful, grateful heart, that I allow this prayer to be. I release it into the law, knowing it is done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Amen.
And so I wiggle with joy. What is the talk this evening? Thought for food. Thought for food. So without any more delay, please welcome my beloved and our beloved Reverend Sunshine.
Thank you, Sonny, for that beautiful prayer and that song. And Julie Albright and Cole Miller, thank you. Welcome, everyone. How's it going tonight? We got a birthday in the house in the front row. Happy birthday, beloved. Felicidades. Food for thought is the usual thing that people think about. Food for thought, that it's nourishment for the thought. My talk title today is Thought for Food. I don't know what I was thinking when I put that title together.
I'm hungry. Bring it on.
Yeah, you're hungry too, huh? Thought for food. Today we're going to entertain this idea about the thoughts that we entertain and how they feed us and what it is that we're fed through these thoughts that we continuously have. Today's reading and throughout the year, what we've been doing is we've been getting booked up. And this is my Science of Mind book. And what we've been doing is taking the entire book and reading it within a year. We have this great index that's outside. My book has the index in it, and the reading for today is just one paragraph. And interestingly enough, the paragraph that we're reading and talking about today is on obesity. Ernest Holmes had the nerve to talk about obesity. No, he had the insight to write a paragraph, an entire paragraph about his thoughts, beliefs, and understanding about this topic of obesity. Now, mind you, he wrote many, many years ago. And one of the things that really struck me about today's reading, it's really interesting. Once upon a time, just to kind of let y'all know and give you some insight as to me, once upon a time I wanted to have a pristine, just like really nice Science of Mind book because it's leather bound, Sonny got my name printed on it and stuff like that. But after a while and after reading some of this stuff and after really dissecting it, especially this year, what's happened for me is that I take my pen and I start circling and making arrows and putting notes on the side margins because for me, this book is kind of like to be studied, not just to keep, in a pristine condition. Because as I begin to absorb the information and as I begin to really be with it, I have these thoughts, these ideas, and I seek to really understand and maybe possibly, if it's at all possible, to get in the mind of Ernest Holmes and wonder what was he thinking and what was he feeling and what was his belief and his cosmology when he wrote this stuff. And looking at some of the words, and some of the words might be antiquated, the reading of this book is sometimes very turgid, and it's just like, wow, this is kind of thick here. What is he saying? And help me to break it down. And that's exactly why we're doing this, to kind of break it down and to really take it in bite-sized chunks, so that we might assimilate it, that we might be with it in such a way, thought for food, food for thought, that we might be with it in such a way that we can really digest it or even let it marinate. Notice I'm using all the foodie words, right? That we can really use it and have it become part of who we are. Today, in today's reading, he says a normal-minded person will eat normally. If one is a glutton, it is because his mentality is filled with unexpressed longings, which he's trying to sublimate, which means to modify or divert. Food is a symbol of God's love, care, and substance, and should be eaten with thanksgiving. So here he's simply saying that food is a symbol of God's love. It reminds me of the 40 years going in the mountains and just kind of wandering off and having the food given daily through manna. Meaning in the Bible, there's a story of the folks going through for 40 years, and they didn't know where they were going to get their food from, but every day there was manna from heaven, or nourishment from heaven, if you will. And that was what sustained the people as they went through the desert and as they went through hard times and as they lived their life, kind of going from place to place until they found their permanent place to be. So when Ernest Holmes talks about food being a symbol for God's love, care, and substance and should be eaten with thanksgiving, what he's saying is that when we eat, when we take in nourishment, there's this automatic thanksgiving. There's this automatic gratitude that happens. The stomach gets fed, and we're satisfied. That feeling of satisfaction, that feeling of being full. is a feeling of thanksgiving. And I don't know if we've associated that before. However, he goes on to say right here, he says, but we dishonor God when we fear it. So food does not harm man, but we dishonor God when we fear it. There's a difference between feeding your hunger and your appetite. There's a difference between feeding your hunger and feeding your appetite. And so even though he's talking about obesity or gluttony or this overeating, if you will, we can always associate that with other things if eating is not something that we overdo. So, over-relaxing. Is there a such thing? Some people call it laziness. Right? Overspending. Quickly going into anger. Quickly going into doubt and fear. If food is a representation of God's love for us and we have it available and we use it to nourish our bodies and we feel that feeling of thanksgiving, then there's nothing to fear. However, when we use this idea of food in other areas, whether it's relaxation, whether it's money, whether it's love interest, and we overdo it in those areas, what is that saying about who we are or about what we think? When folks overeat or overspend, there's this idea in the mind that there's not enough God, there's not enough care, or that God doesn't care enough about me, so I better get as much as I can, and I overdo it to the extent of gluttony or obesity, or where I fear food, or where I use food to satiate or to feel satisfied in a particular area of my life. And so it is in other areas of life when we do the same practice. So even though he's talking about food in this particular instance, we might be able to relate it to other areas of our life where we're overextending ourselves, where we're saying yes when we really mean no, I can't take on another project. I can't do it, but we're saying yes because there's a need to feel wanted, liked, appreciated, where we're not necessarily being true to ourselves, and we're overextending ourselves because somewhere within us there's this hole or this void or this fear that I am not enough. And that's what he's talking about. When we fear it, when we use it or anything else to satisfy or to fill a hole or a gap or a misconception or misperception that we may have about who we are. And it is simply because we have forgotten the truth. What's the truth? What's the truth? God and I are one. Right where you are, God is. There is enough. I don't have to hoard. I don't have to store up. I don't have to overdo, overspend. I don't have to be lazy. I don't have to be gluttonous. I don't have to do all this over stuff in order to be one with this power and this presence. It is already who I be. That's correct English. It is already who I am. But because there is some misperception or we kind of get it a little bit twisted, we forget the truth of who we are and we begin to try to fill that void with food, with sex, with money, with all kinds of stuff. You can name it. I mean, there's an anonymous program for almost every situation, right? And it's there because these are the avenues or the venues or the paths that we take on the outside of us in order to fill this gap or this hole or this sense of vacancy within us. And isn't it funny, not ha-ha funny, but interesting, that we seek something outside of us to fill something or the void that is inside. And the answers are never outside of us. The answers are never outside of us. I remember reading this kind of little story about God hanging out with its creation before, as humanity is around, and God hanging out with these quote-unquote angels, its creation, its spirit forms, and kind of saying, I want to hide myself somewhere, but kind of want to make it obvious, but I want to hide myself somewhere where, people won't be able to find me, like kind of playing hide and seek with its creation. And then one of the angels says, well, hide yourself within each and every one. They'll never look there. Because isn't it interesting that we go seeking? We go, I like listening to the Indigo Girls, and, it's just like we go to the psychologist, the psychiatrist, we go to the doctor of philosophy, we go to the mountaintop, we speak to the children, we chant, we go around, we walk on hot fire and coal, and we do all kinds of stuff to seek source, and in the meantime, source is right where we are. We don't look within. And it's kind of like, it's right where you are. It's right where you are. And because we are hardwired to commune and to be in that essence, because we're actually one with this power and this presence, there's this longing for the small self to connect with the big self, the large S self, the God, that higher power, that creative intelligence. And so we're hardwired to know ourselves or to self-actualize or to self-realize and to come to know our life as the life of God, and yet we look outside of ourselves for this nirvana. We look outside ourselves for this enlightenment, when indeed it happens when we begin to look within. And when we begin to use our spiritual practices like prayer and meditation and affirmations and visioning and sacred service and tithing and sacred giving, being of a generous heart, when we use those sacred and those spiritual practices to know our life as life itself. I know that many times I have said, my life is the life of God. But as I have come to mature a little more and really be steeped in my own spiritual practice, I'm recognizing that my life is not the life of God. My life is God. And that little nuance in itself makes a huge difference. My life is God. My life is God. Your life is God. You are the perfect, unique, and magnificent way that God, that AKA life, that love, that joy, that radiance, that peace, abundance, and wisdom is out picturing on planet Earth. You are the life that is God. Your life is God. It is that life itself. And when we begin to use things like food, or we begin to use other substances instead of turning to substance itself, we miss the mark. And we begin to travel down a path that many have traveled before. And we begin to then wonder, why is this happening to me again? Or how can I get off of this treadmill or this hamster wheel? And the way off is to stop seeking outside of self, but to begin to turn within, to begin to recognize the truth of who we are, and that there's no thing outside of us that can fill us to the degree that we need to feel satiated, to feel full, so that we can be our best self. That doesn't happen with anything outside of us. That happens with our paying attention to this life energetic that is us. Thought for food. So when we begin to have these thoughts, the thought that my life is God, that love lives as me, that life is happening as me, that life is happening through me, that life is happening by me, that life is expressing magnificently as me, that thought is now food for our consciousness, and we begin now to feed and nourish and nurture ourselves and build ourselves up with that which is necessary to live fulfilling lives. I don't think any of you have come here on a Wednesday night when there's so many other things you could have been doing because you want to learn how to live a mediocre life. I believe that the reason we come together in spiritual community time after time, week after week, Sunday and Wednesday, Wednesday and Sunday, when we come for classes, when we come for special events, when we come and we sit or we be in spiritual community is because we are answering a call. We are answering a call to live as our greatness, not to settle for mediocrity, not to settle for the blah of life, but that we're answering this inner call no matter how soft the call may be or how loud the call may be. It is still a call that we're answering, that there's something that you have found right here in this spiritual community that continues to encourage you and to pull you out of mediocrity into your greatness. And that as we, as a spiritual community, come together and engage in spiritual practice and then leave here and engage in our own daily spiritual practice over and over again, as we begin to continuously have these thoughts and purposefully implant these thoughts in our mind, kind of having them around, affirmations, signs, having people call, having outgoing messages on our voicemail that remind people of their truth, that as we as spiritual community continue to remind each other and remind ourselves of this truth, that thought is our food. And that it begins to nurture us and nourish us in a way that brings about the enlightenment that we seek. That it is not outside of us. It's not in the next guru or the next workshop or the next whatever, but that it is right where we are. Put it inside of each of them. They'll never look there. They'll never look there. And that's exactly where we get to look. That's exactly where we get to be. He says, in the rest of that paragraph, he says, it is just as disastrous to abuse God's gift by becoming gluttonous as it is to dishonor the spiritual man by fearing food. So we don't want to fear it, but we don't want to overindulge. We just want to have a regular relationship with all things. That's what Ernest Holmes talked about. He says, I believe that we're all revealers of truth. Not only did he say that, but he says, I believe that we can all achieve freedom from all discord. And this is what he's talking about here. So if it's physical food that's a problem, or drinking, or gambling, or shopping, or you name it, gossiping. I think they have a Gossips Anonymous too, for folks who just, girl, did you hear what she said last week? I mean, sometimes we're just addicted to the drama. Sometimes folks are just, they're just in it. And the goal is freedom from all discord, that we don't overindulge in it and that we don't fear it. So he says to mentally free yourself from the weight, declare that you are an offspring of God. So now he's getting into the solution. So if you find that you've been overindulging or staying away from food, is that wheat, sugar, gluten-free? I'm lactose intolerant, No. If we find ourselves overdoing it, people want to eat correctly all the time. I want to be at my best, right? I want to be at my best, and I want to eat foods that agree with me, and I don't really necessarily have a preference, and how you do your food is great. Because sometimes I like the pastas and the cheeses and all that rich stuff, and then other times it's kind of like, oh no, I'm juicing today. Only fruits and vegetable, organic. So it doesn't matter, right? But when I am fearing it, like, oh no, I can't have that, or when I am overindulging, there's a little bit of this like, whoa. How to break free from that? To mentally free yourselves from the weight, from the burden of fearing or overindulging, from staying away, and it's just a pendulum swing, right? One extreme to the next, one extreme to the next. So to free yourself, this is the third time I said that, right? To free yourself from the weight, declare that you are an offspring of God, that you are spirit, that both your appetite and the assimilation of your food are functioning in divine order, and that your body is manifesting symmetry and perfection. He said, declare this, recognize this, know this. And again, even though he's talking about physical food, when we look at food as just a placeholder for whatever we are overindulging in or fearing, declare that you are spirit. Declare it. My life is God. Therefore, that which is true of God is true about me. So the perfection that God is, I am. The wholeness that God is, I am. The balance, the joy, the clarity, the radiance, the wisdom, the divine intelligence and creativity and beauty that God is, I am. And when we declare that, and when we declare it over and over again and recognize that that is the truth, then we begin to let go of the shackles of living in the extremes. And we begin to live in balance in the center, which is where life fully expresses. Life doesn't fully express in the extremes of overindulgence or fear of. Folks are living fully when they're living in balance. When they're not afraid of things or when they're not overindulging in things. But when there is this balance so that we can appreciate all of life's good and wonder. So it just kind of goes back to what we tell ourselves. Thought for food. Is my thought that God is out there and I'm here? Or is my thought that my life is spirit, that my life is the perfect and divine way that God is showing up on this planet? And as I continuously feed myself those thoughts for food, as I continuously feed my mind, my body, my psyche, my spirit, my soul, as I continuously feed myself those thoughts, because we know where those thoughts come from, we begin to kind of move out those thoughts of unworthiness, doubt, fear, separation. Because it is when we believe more in separation than we believe in our oneness with this power and presence that we have the discord. And we can only experience freedom from all discord when we recognize that our life is God. That there's nothing, no thing that can separate our life from the life of God, from the life of love, of abundance, of joy, of peace, of harmony, of divine creativity. There's nothing that can separate us from that. That is who we are. That is who we are. So we're going to go into our quiet time now. Our time in the silence, where we actually get an opportunity to have thought for food and food for thought. And that in this time, that we begin to declare that which is true. That not only are we this offspring of the one, but we are the thing itself. That our life is that life that is God. Our life is the life of God. God is our life. My life is God. It is this perfect, energetic, expressing fully and magnificently. And to the degree in which we accept this truth and know it, it is to that degree which we have this opportunity to live from this place where we begin to live from this place of joy and peace and harmony and abundance. And so we use this time in the silence to simply anchor this truth and to declare in our own mind, my life is God. My life is God. My life is God. we just take a few minutes, several times a day, to pause and to recognize that our life is God. We find that all is well. That everything comes together for our good. When we just dedicate a few minutes to affirm our truth. My life is God. God is my life. My life is God. God is my life. My life is God. God is my life. We anchor that. We begin to live from this place. We begin to see through the eyes of God. We begin to see through the eyes of love and abundance and joy and peace and harmony. We begin to experience these very things because it is our nature. It is our truth. And as we remind ourselves through our spiritual practice, whether it's our affirmations or our meditation, or our sacred service, our generosity, we remember that this is our truth and we live from this place. So how grateful I am for this time in the silence where we've had the opportunity to anchor in just a little bit deeper, just a little more, this knowing that our life is God. That God is our life. That there's nothing that separates our life from the life that God is. That when you see me, you see love. You see life. You see God. You see peace. You see harmony. You see abundance. When I see you, I see the same. I see love and joy and peace. When I see you, I see God. The unique and magnificent way that God is showing up on this planet. And so we give thanks for this time in the silence as we've had this opportunity to know this truth in a deeper and more personal way. And for this and so much more, I give thanks, blessing us all. It is so. And so it is. Amen. Yeah. And as the lights gently come up, just gaze upon your neighbor and say, "Hello, God." Hello, love. Hello, joy and infinite intelligence. It's good to recognize who we are. Yeah. So I'd like to invite our ushers to come forward at this time as it is our conscious giving time. Thank you, ushers, for your service. Also, I'd like to invite you to stay conscious and to stay awake, aware, and alert. And to simply take into your hand that which you have brought to share with the spiritual community, knowing that we invest in our community. We support that which we get so much from. We know that we have been so richly blessed and so richly prospered in our life. And so what we do is we just take a portion of that and we offer it up to the spiritual community, that we might continue our programs, our classes, our services, that we might continue to be blessed by all the happenings at Seaside, and that Seaside also becomes a blessing to the greater Encinitas community. So thank you in advance for your generous hearts and your generous giving, as it is indeed a symbol of our spirituality and our awakening, that we are investors in that which so richly feeds us. So as you take your gifts, your tithes, your offerings, and place them on your heart, simply bless them, knowing that they are multiplied and that as you give, you also receive greatly. And allow it to fill the baskets and to see it being overflowing, and to see Seaside richly blessed and blessing the greater community. And so it is. Amen. Go forth, ushers. And as you give, you receive. So please open your hearts and receive the beautiful music of Sunny Daye, Julie Albright, and Cole Miller.
Someone's in need of a prayer today. Have you done your part? Someone's in despair this day. Have you prayed from your heart? So many are seeking the way to go, and they need your light, you know, for your prayers of love can lift them high, heal them, sustain them, and set them free. Your prayers of love can lift them high, heal them, sustain them, and set them free. Have you spoken the word today? Did you give your all in prayer? The world is in need of what you say. Have you answered the call and prayed? 'Cause so many are trying to find their way, and they need your light today, for your prayers of love can lift them high, heal them, sustain them, and set them free. Your prayers of love, it lifts them high, it heals them, sustains them, and it sets them free. Well, you are the place you need to start, so throw open your mind and use your heart. Don't waste the time and don't delay, 'cause so many are in need of a prayer today. Oh, so many are in need of a prayer today. Did you give your all? You see, somebody's in despair this day. Have you prayed with all your heart? Just listen to the Spirit. It's telling you to heed the holy call, for your prayers of love, it lifts them high, it heals them, sustains them, and it sets
Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Beautiful sunny day. Thank you, Julie Albright, Cole Miller. Well, you got a sermon someplace. That's all I got to say. If you didn't get it from me, you got it from her. Because that's how it works. We are all revealers of truth, and this is the part of our service where we get an opportunity to hear from you, where you have an opportunity to reveal your truth. Maybe something you got from the song, the sermon, a great aha, something that has happened maybe from this week, from last week to this week that you'd love to share with our spiritual community. And I saw this hand shoot right on up. Tell us your name, beloved, and what you got to say.
Hi, I am Terry. That song just showed up for me, big time. That was awesome. I have a friend who is going into chemo tomorrow, her first chemo, with strength and humor and joy. And I would like to ask you all between 9:30 and 2 o'clock tomorrow to think of Catherine, because the power of prayer and the power of thought makes it happen. So if everybody can try to remember to do that, that'd be fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you. How are you, Doug? It's good
I'm
to
awesome.
love you.
Yeah, likewise. Wow. I like, seriously, I'm like, tears are just flowing. And it's such, I'm in awe right now at both of you and just the fact that we get to be here and witness what's going on here. And there's just such an incredible vibration of love and just connection. And I'm so incredibly grateful for this, just to know this. My only curiosity is why this place isn't just overflowing with people out the doors, because it's such a rare experience that we have this opportunity to plug into this each week. So I'm so incredibly grateful to have this place, to have Seaside, to have you, to have Sunny. Thank you, Sunny, back there. You guys are incredible. I love the message today. And, you know, in those different areas, whether it's obesity of our bodies or so many different areas that we can indulge in different ways in our life. And it really is about conscious awareness. And like you had mentioned multiple times each day, if we can allow ourselves to go within and just become aware and connect. And it's so common for us as individuals to be unconscious with our behavior for days and weeks and months and not even be aware of these areas we may be indulging, whether it's overworking or underworking or overspending or being in scarcity consciousness. And having a spiritual community like this to be able to tap into and have these tools is such a rare opportunity. And I don't take it for granted. I'm very, very grateful for it. And also having us as a community, because there's something to be said about collective consciousness. And the more we study that and understand it, just each one of us being here with each other, there's a different level of vibration. So it's my intent and strong desire to do whatever I can to help this community continue to grow and thrive, such that we have this for a long time, and hopefully we can continue to have you guys around for a long time as well. So just want to say thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, beloved. One more. What's up, Buttercup?
Oh, nothing. This might seem a little awkward, but in a way it might not. It's just, I kind of made a couple things for Reverend Fran, and it's just like, I made a couple pictures, and it said, one says, "We love you, Reverend Fran," and I know you can't quite see it, but
Let me see that.
yeah.
Let me see that. We love you, Reverend Fran.
And then I was thinking, just maybe if all of you would be willing to maybe just sign this one. I have two papers, so I was just thinking about that because I might not know her that well, but it's just I want her to feel okay. And although I don't know her well, I still love her.
That's right. Good deal. Thank you, Nicolette. I appreciate that. And for those of you who don't know, Reverend Fran is our music director here on Sundays. And she is a beautiful spirit and beautiful soul, and she's experiencing some physical health challenges. So if we would all when we leave, if we can just sign that picture that Nicolette made for her so that she might feel our love and know that right where she is, God is, that she might know the truth for herself and know that beyond any appearances, that would be lovely. So thank you. How thoughtful of you, Nicolette, to do that for Reverend Fran, because we do love her and she's part of our community, and we want to make sure that she knows how much we love and appreciate her. So thank you so much. Well, I want to thank Karen. She's been sitting in the back, radiating the light, knowing the perfect unfoldment of our revealing experience today. Thank you so much for your dedication and your consciousness, Karen. It went off without a hitch. Yeah, it was wonderful. So also want you to know that we have our wonderful new musician who is filling in for Jim Bianchi. Her name is Julie Albright. Thank you so much for your musical talent. We so appreciate you. Want to thank Cole Miller. Cole, thank you for bringing the percussion aspect of life. And for that beautiful music, Sunny Daye, thank you, beloved. She never ceases to amaze us in terms of, the musical talent and the gift that she brings. Want to make sure that I thank Ed Reeves in the back, who does our audio, Tim Griffin, who does our live streaming and our videotaping. Thank you so much. And Jenny, who is our coordinator. What a beloved team that we have here, and our ushers who do our collections and our offerings for us today. And thank all of you for showing up and being here. Out of all the places you could be on a Wednesday night, you choose to be here, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. I love you dearly, dearly, dearly. Next week, the talk is the power of love. Apparently, love has a lot of power. We're going to find out about that next week. Make sure that if you haven't been following along with us and reading the Science of Mind book, we have the index outside. You can start today, and then just by this time next year, if you just read a few paragraphs, a few pages a day, as indicated by our index, before you know it, you will have read through the book and be a genius that you already are. You'll just know it a little bit more than you did before. So those are available in the back. After our service today, we're just going to be doing some fellowship. We have some refreshments, and I got plenty of hugs for everybody tonight. So please, please, please take care of yourself. Bring a friend next week. All right? Let us rise. Oh, my joy. Let us rise and do our closing song, Nicolette.
Yes, thank you, Reverend Sunshine.
Ah, my joy. My joy, my joy.
This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see, with open hearts and open hands. We lift our voices, in love we stand. This is our prayer, our song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see, with open hearts and open hands. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand. We lift our voices, in love we stand.
Good night, everybody. I love you. See you in the back.
Your love is king, crown you with my heart. Your love is king, never need to part. Your kisses ring soul sing, crying out for more. Your love is king. I'm coming up. I'm calling. Making me dead inside. Your love is king. Crown me with my heart. Your love is king. You'll never need to part. Your kisses ring all around, round and round and round my head, touching the very part of me. It's making my soul sing. I'm crying out for more. Your love is king. This is no blind faith. This is no sad or sorry dream. This is no blind faith. Your love is real. You're making me dance, yeah, inside. Your love is king. Thank you.